Mostly about different weapons?
Aikido is not mostly about different weapons. Aikido is mostly about being so clearly aligned with yourself and so positive and clear with your actions that when attack or force comes at you, you can redirect it and hold your center and keep everybody safe.
Right.
So I am practicing the strikes, but the point of the strikes is, if somebody came at me like this, I can blend that way and get the weapon past.
Nice.
And get me near their liver.
Right.
And I haven't hurt anybody yet, and if they stop, we're okay.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so Aikido actually means the way of peace.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I learned some ShaoLin.
Uh-huh.
And
there's some similar stuff with flow and causing directionality in the other person's energy.
my nature is to take everything and make it a part of me. So it's like I could never teach it, but it's very useful.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
And
useful.
we have throws that can look really rough, but I often teach them like you're holding a baby.
Right.
Like, when the 2-year-old's like screaming and kicking and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like you have to handle any attacker and any attack like that 2-year-old who doesn't know any better.
Right. And you have to be able to adapt to their
Right.
version of frenzy.
Yeah, 'cause
which is the hardest thing.
Yeah, because we both have to be safe.
Right.
And for us both to be safe, there's a certain amount of you don't get to hit me, and while I'm managing your behavior, I won't do anything to you that's damaging.
Right. Like you deal with kids,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And that's where it's a challenge for me. I always get kids, but grown-ups, I'm like, you should know better.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're worse because they chose badly.
Yes, and persistently. And they have ignored
Right.
positive attention and encouragement towards easier paths.
Right.
More middle paths, yeah.
Well, people grow up in weird ways, and there's.
I'm perfect.
I mean, there are just so many ways that people can be strange.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like I love the martial arts,
Yeah.
but I also like magic,
Yeah.
and I like magic versus religion, because
Yeah.
religion is generally dogma, and I'd rather people find their own way,
Yeah.
but you need magic to find your own way. So it's at least I think so.
I think
I
you're
mean,
right.
prayer is a certain kind of magic.
It absolutely is.
But the problem that I have with prayer is too often the God is pushed on you, whether it really belongs with you or not.
Yes.
And I don't like that. 'Cause
Yes.
It doesn't belong with a lot of people.
Right. And there are people who are very uncomfortable with that.
And people use
yeah.
it in a shady way to manipulate other people.
Yeah.
And once they've got the God thing in them, a lot of people are really easy to manipulate by anyone who knows the game.
I agree. And
know.
I would say that martial arts is very similar in that you can tell yourself you're really good at something and it's all about, humanity. And then you can be kicking people's ass on the mat and hurting your ukes and your training partners and getting rough when you feel you've been embarrassed. And then you're, talking a good game, but you're not
Right.
really embodying it.
Right.
And I feel that happens in religion a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So too. Yeah, and I'm sure that you see it in the fighting because people's egos are involved and their feelings are involved.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to sort your feelings out to begin with and to know that you're not always in charge of them.
Yeah.
Which is a really freaky thing. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
There's a story about O-sensei, the guy who invented Aikido, and there had been a training. Students have been training too roughly, and this is back in the late 40s or early 50s, and somebody got a broken back, which happens once a generation. And O-sensei was very, very, very angry. You're missing the point, you're hurting each other, you're taking things, that you can't take back. So he's fuming, and he calls my friend up to take a fall for him. And my friend's like, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. And he said it was the softest, lightest throw ever. he said, Sensei caught him partway down and said, this is why I'm a master. Like,
Right.
you are safer when I'm furious.
Right, right.
Because I'm being extra careful.
Right.
Which...
But it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's not just you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, well, even with walking, you know, with your steps.
Yeah.
Which one of the ways I found it's great is
Right.
is I can walk in exterior terrain with bare feet.
Yeah.
And if I forget to think, it hurts.
Right.
If I remember to do it right, it doesn't hurt.
Right.
Which is still amazes me, but it is the way it is.
And I've done things martially that are absolutely impossible.
Right, right.
And if I think about it or try to replay it, it doesn't work.
Right, right.
But if I do the training and my body's prepared and my head's in the right spot and then shit goes down, I've been amazed at some stuff I've pulled off.
Right.
And people have been like, oh, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right, because it's all in the flow and the sense of continuity.
Yeah.
And when you move into something, it already has emotion,
Yeah.
and you're adapting everything that you have and learned to that motion.
Right.
So you don't really know what's going to happen, and that's good.
Yeah, because if you have a plan and anybody twitches, then somebody gets a bloody nose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you have a plan also, they may not react quite the same ways that your plan was intending, and they can screw you up. So, yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. And so I'm actually broadcasting live. I decided this was a fascinating conversation. And everybody wants to know, so I'm like, hi everybody out there in TV land. But it's a good conversation, and it's true about Aikido. Like, how can I be positive and clear and nonviolent and not let people hurt me?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's that whole thing of like, oh, I'm positive, it'll be fine.
Right.
But
right.
that belies a situation where people are taking advantage of you or want to cause harm or, you know, want something that they think you can do without. And
I didn't have any anger when I was doing it. I have no anger issues, basically.
Yeah. I do.
Most of the time, I don't. I have political rage and that kind of stuff, but it's not the same as personal.
Well, for me, we made my kid illegal yesterday.
You made what?
We made my kid illegal yesterday. I have some rage.
Your kid?
My kid is non-binary.
Oh.
So what is political is deeply personal.
Right.
And yeah, I have rage.
Yeah. Oh, in that way. Yeah.
You know, but I've had rage my whole life. But
I mean more in terms of individual, personal.
Yeah.
On that, I mean more on that level.
Yeah, and
I don't
usually
have very much of that.
You are blessed.
Because I tend to ground it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I take care of it.
Yeah.
I just take it and whoosh,
Yeah.
it's not mine. It goes.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
I have to be more mindful of that, and sometimes I'll meditate with a partner. Be like, okay, come on, ground.
Right.
Yeah. But it's important.
But you need such a balance, because for me the flaw in that
Yeah.
is that I won't be ready to react if somebody is nuts and they attack me anyway, in spite of the fact that I'm grounding them.
Right.
I'm busy grounding and they attack, and I'm not necessarily going to be ready.
Actually,
because the other part isn't necessarily in balance. I will probably, move them to the side if I can. But they could be better than me.
They could be. But if they're attacking you, they're nuts, right? And even if they're more skilled than you, they are out of balance because they are attacking you. And there are a lot of things we do in Aikido where grounding is the whole action. I was doing a demo in Tokyo, and I did this whole series where they would attack, and I would just bow, but I would turn the bow into the throw. And I did it off of 4 or 5 different attacks.
Wow.
Right. And so my whole thing was like, this is powerful.
I see. Right.
This brings people down gently.
Right.
Right. And I don't know who got it, but that's my...
So you're centered and you're balanced.
Yeah.
And you're focused.
And you're grounded.
And you're grounded.
And you let your energy be fully grounded through your body, so that when somebody grabs you, they go, whoa.
Oh.
Right? You be your own cascade.
Right.
Yeah. And so the weapons work is practicing creating that cascade.
Right.
There's cuts. You have to make sure that the edge is going up. But if somebody's attacking you, you can do the same thing to have it pass. And the feeling of the energy going up lifts. It puts a hitch in their attack. And it gives you enough of an opening to not have your head there.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're feeding off of their action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Off of the inertia that they create.
Exactly. So if they're going to go, like this far to hit you, you just pull them that far.
Right.
And then they're falling.
You help them.
Yeah. Yes, please keep going that way.
Oh, you like doing that.
Whee! Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So that the energy goes into their bodies and not into mine.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe someday I'll run across that when it's convenient and appropriate and play with it a little bit.
I have a class it's with my friend in Australia, but it's on Saturdays at 2.
Yeah, I'm not interested at the moment. I wouldn't do it justice.
Oh.
I have too many other things happening.
Yeah, then don't do the thing.
But
well,
you know
then
how
just
it
doodle
is.
around and have conversations.
If it comes in play, that will be nice.
I love hitting my friends with sticks.
But I loved ShaoLin. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And
I haven't studied ShaoLin, but what I know of it has some similarities.
yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grounding is essential, and the walk is essential.
Yeah.
And,
How you're in contact with the surface.
Being aware and responding and all those things are the same. The master I learned from, he was way more violent than me and did have sometimes mischievous and violent tendencies.
Yeah.
And he would sometimes let students go nuts and almost break his body or things like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't always that grounded. He had a heavy duty history, so I get it.
Yeah.
But he knew so much. He grew up in a temple in Hawaii.
Right.
And they took him in because he was being abused.
Right.
His grandfather hung him up in a sack from the eaves and would beat him with a stick and just crazy shit like that.
Right.
So anyway, they took him in. So he really knew
ShaoLin is better than that.
a huge amount of stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So he was pretty good in most ways, but he did have that streak.
That streak of
in
the
him.
abused kid going.
Yeah, that would just sometimes come up for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been incredibly valuable. I can cut a perfect straight line with a saw.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much every time, and it's all just because I know how to move my body that way.
Right.
I know every I know my body from the going inward.
Right.
And as I get older, you get down to the bone.
You
do your deep.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you get further in and your imagination takes over what you can't feel.
Yeah.
And you get like a projected image that goes with that part of your body. You can't feel it, but you can sort of see it in some weird way.
Yeah.
That's how I experience it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's real fascinating. And part of what I remember learning was that you have to keep your bones in mind when you're doing a lot of these moves.
Right, because you can create enough power to shatter your own bones.
Wow.
So it's best to line yourself up so that you don't do that. Like some of these actions that I do right here, if I wasn't mindful about my hip, as in the past I would just kind of casually do the thing, I'd smack the crap out of myself. And then I'd bang my knees really bad. One time I was feeling particularly arrogant and I gave myself a really bad concussion. Because I created the power, but I wasn't mindful about where I was putting it.
Right.
And that was problematic.
Anyway, I enjoy watching it.
Please enjoy. We're having a conversation today with Corby, the contractor here, who's got some ShaoLin experience.
Thank you.
Oh, I hope y'all could hear that. That was good. At no point did I go, shut up, Corby, I'm teaching. I was like, let's talk about that.
Bring it into the lesson.
I hope that was audible. Ikumusubi.